phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
Every year in college football, there's always a bunch of players that stand out from the rest and have great seasons. And those great seasons may even turn into great college football careers. But as time goes on, the more years that go by, some players that had great college football careers ultimately may become forgotten or not as much talked about as they were before. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some college football stars that you may have forgotten about. Now, when I say you may have forgotten about, I don't mean forgotten about completely. These may be guys that were college football stars when they played, and you may have simply have not heard their name or heard about them in quite some time. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. The first player that I'm going to be talking about is former South Florida quarterback Quentin Flowers. Flowers played for South Florida from 2014 to 2017 and was a 3-year starter at the quarterback position. And he had a lot of success there as the starting quarterback, not only personal stat-wise, but also team-wise. At South Florida, he completed 58% of his passes in his career, while throwing for 8,124 yards, 71 touchdowns to the air compared to 23 interceptions. But on the ground, he was truly one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the nation, as in his career, he rushed for 3,672 yards, accounting for a total of 6 yards per rush attempt, and 41 total touchdowns on the ground. In 2 of the 3 years that Quentin Flowers was a starting quarterback for USF, the last 2 years to be more specific, he led them to top 25 finishes, which is not exactly the norm for the USF football program, both of those seasons finishing with 10 or more wins. Some of the personal accolades that he had in his career as a college football player include the CFB National Performer of the Year in 2016, an AAC Offensive Player of the Year honor in 2016, First Team All-AAC in 2016, and Second Team All-AAC member in 2017. Despite a great career at the quarterback position at USF, he wasn't necessarily seen as a big-time prospect going into the NFL for the 2018 NFL Draft, as he would end up going undrafted, and when he first got to the NFL, he was not even a quarterback, but was a running back. Flowers would spend his first year in the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals, where he was primarily a practice squad member, but did get bumped up to the active roster very late in the season. However, he got waived ultimately for final roster cuts in 2019, and would spend a very short time with the Indianapolis Colts during that same season. After that, he has not been in the NFL since then, as he's played in the XFL and the Fan-Controlled Football League, with the Vipers in 2020 of the XFL, the Fan-Controlled Football League in 2021, and most recently, the Guardians of the XFL in 2023. Transitioning on to the next player, it is former Auburn running back Tre Mason. Tre Mason played for Auburn from 2011 to the 2013 college football seasons. He was a 2-year starting running back from 2012 to 2013. In that 2-year span, he left his mark on college football and the Auburn football program, being one of their best running backs in their program's history in just a 2-year span. In his time at Auburn, he rushed for 2,979 yards, averaging nearly 6 yards a carry, and 32 touchdowns on the ground. In his final year in 2013, he submitted himself as one of the best running backs in the entire NCAA. As that season, he rushed for 1,816 yards, averaged 5.7 yards a carry, with an insane total of 23 touchdowns on the ground. He ended his career in college with accolades such as SEC Offensive Player of the Year in 2013, a second-team All-American in 2013, and a first-team All-SEC member in that same 2013 season. He declared his name for the 2014 NFL Draft, where he was taken in the 3rd round by the LA Rams. In his rookie campaign for the Rams, he showed some promise as he made a Pro Football Writers Association All-Rookie team, as in that season for the Rams, he rushed for a total of 765 yards in 12 games, starting in 9 of them, averaging 4 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns on the ground. He was expected to be a big part of the Rams franchise for the next years to come. However, that would not be the case at all. As 2015, he would have a smaller role, appearing in 13 games, only starting in 3 of them, in which he rushed for 207 yards, averaging less than 3 yards a carry, and had 1 touchdown on the ground. The rest of his time with the Rams, St. Louis/LA, He would end up having off-the-field issues and would ultimately never play a game in the NFL again. His last year of professional football was in 2018 in the CFL with the Rough Riders, in which in 18 games played, he rushed for 809 yards, averaged 5 yards a carry on 3 rushing touchdowns, but ended the year with injury, and that was the end of his pro football journey. For this next player, I'm going to be taking a look at one of the best Big 12 wide receivers recently, and that's TCU wideout Josh Doctson. Josh Doctson actually started his career at Wyoming as a true freshman before transferring to TCU, where he had to sit out the 2012 season, but officially started playing football for the Horned Frogs in games in 2013. In his college football career from 2011 to 2015, he had 214 receptions for 3,177 yards, averaging nearly 15 yards a reception and 34 touchdowns to the air. His first 2 years of playing college football at Wyoming and TCU, they were both solid seasons. He really took off as a redshirt junior and redshirt senior in the 2014 and 15 seasons. As in that 2014 season, he had 1,018 receiving yards and 11 receiving touchdowns. But in 2015, he had 78 receptions for 1,326 yards, averaging 17 yards a reception and 14 touchdowns to the air, playing less games than he did in 2014. As a TCU Horned Frog, he had 179 career receptions for 2,784 receiving yards, averaging 15.6 yards a reception, and 29 total touchdowns through the air. Josh Doctson would have some career accolade honors in his college football career, such as a consensus All-American in 2015 and a first-team All-Big 12 member in 2015 as well. Because of his career he had and the big season he had in 2015, he would end up going in the first round of the 2016 NFL Draft by the Redskins. Doctson's NFL career did not go the way that many people thought it would for a first-round wide receiver. And a lot of that could be because of injuries that could have hindered his development very early on in his NFL career, such as in 2016 as a rookie. Only appeared in 2 games and would miss most of that season. In 2017 and 2018, he was a starter for Washington, and he was pretty solid in both seasons, recording over 500 plus receiving yards, and by the time he was done in Washington, would have a total of 8 receiving touchdowns. However, that's not what you really expected out of a first-round receiver, and ultimately he was released by the Redskins going into the 2019 season. He spent 2019 with the Minnesota Vikings, but similar to his rookie year, he would miss most of the season due to injury and was eventually released later on in November. He last played in the NFL in 2021 as a practice squad member with the Arizona Cardinals. Switching to the defensive side of the ball for this next player, I'm going to be taking a look at former Mizzou linebacker Kentrell Brothers. Brothers was a 3-year starter at the linebacker position for Mizzou from 2013 to 2015, but started his career there in 2012. In his career, he racked up 357 total tackles, 23.5 tackles for loss, and 4.5 sacks. He would have all SEC honors first team-wise in 2015 and was a second-team All-American in that same 2015 season. 2015 was by far his best season, as he had 152 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 5 interceptions. But don't sleep on 2014 either, as he had 120 plus tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 4 pass deflections, and 3 forced fumbles. Despite a really good career at Mizzou, he would go later in the NFL draft, as he was a day 3 selection in 2016 in the 5th round by the Minnesota Vikings. Kentrell Brothers would spend a total of 4 seasons in the NFL from 2016 to 2019, all with the Minnesota Vikings. He played in a total of 51 games, starting in 1 of them. He had 55 total tackles, 41 of which being solo, and 1 career sack. The last year that he played in the NFL was in 2019, as he was suspended the first 9 weeks of the 2020 season and ultimately would not be picked up by any team since then. He last played professional football with the Montreal Alouettes in the 2021 Canadian Football League season. The final player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video is former Northern Illinois linebacker / defensive end Sutton Smith. Sutton Smith played for Northern Illinois from 2015 to 2018, but would do a lot of his damage in his college football career for the Huskies from 2017 to 2018, his last 2 years there, playing primarily as an edge role. In his career, he racked up a total of 139 tackles, 58.5 tackles for loss, 30 sacks, and 7 forced fumbles. Some of the accolades that he had in his college football career was a consensus All-American in 2017, first-team All-American in 2017 and 2018, a first-team All-MAC selection in 17 and 18. He was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back years, 2017 and 2018, and was even the MAC's Most Valuable Player in 2018. Just to go over how dominant he was getting to the backfield in 2017 and 2018 for those college football seasons. For 17, he had 30 tackles for loss and 14 sacks, and 18, he had 26.5 tackles for loss and 15 sacks. Despite being a proven menace in the backfield in college, he was a very late pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, primarily due to his size, as he fell to the 6th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Smith would play in the NFL from 2019 to 2021, as he was primarily a practice squad player, spending stints with the Steelers, Jags, the Steelers again, the Seahawks, and the Saints, all on their practice squad, or in the offseason. He did spend some time on an active roster during the later part of the 21 campaign for the NFL with the Las Vegas Raiders, but as a fullback. He was released right before the start of the 2022 NFL season, and he has not been signed since. Well guys, if you made this far in today's video, drop down any video suggestions you want to see on this channel in the future in the comment section below. And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.